The Empress Dowager loved to arrange marriages. At a palace banquet, she casually pointed to her eldest sister, already betrothed, and assigned her to Chen Tianyou, the youngest son of the Marquis of Cheng'en. Within 2 years, the eldest sister suffered a miscarriage from domestic violence. Weeping, she sought justice from the Empress Dowager, only to be rebuked. Nonsense. The marriages I arrange always result in loving couples, harmonious as zither and lutes. Are you questioning my judgment? Chen Tianyou grew even more abusive, demanding his wife and concubines share his bed. Unable to bear the humiliation, the elder sister took her own life. Upon learning this, the Empress feigned sorrow, shedding a few crocodile tears. Poor thing, so ill-fated. How tragic that my good intentions went unappreciated. Her finger twitched, and she then designated me as his next wife. I smiled and accepted. Little did she know, I had just shared a moment of illicit intimacy with her imperial husband in the temple. And now, I carried his royal seed within me. When the Empress designated me as Chen Tianyou's secondary wife, everyone in the hall fawned over the arrangement, except my mother, whose face had turned ashen. Though Tianyou is somewhat unruly, she said, he would never strike or scold his primary wife. Surely your sister's delicate nature led her to such a tragic end. Since that is the case, you shall marry him instead. I personally arranged this marriage for you. I hope you will live in harmony with your husband. Do not follow your sister's example of being ungrateful. I held back my mother, who was about to step forward to refuse, and smiled in agreement. This humble maiden thanks Her Majesty the Empress for bestowing this marriage. The noble women around us continued to smile and flatter. If my son weren't still so young, I'd beg your Majesty to arrange a match for him too. Indeed, indeed. Who doesn't know the Empress is the reincarnation of the matchmaker goddess? Every match she arranges is first-rate. Families consider it an honor to receive a match from Her Majesty. The Empress basked in the praise, naturally. I've never heard of a family blessed by my matchmaking suffer misfortune. All enjoy loving marriages and numerous children. I lowered my head, hiding a cold smile at the corner of my mouth. Loving marriages might be debatable, but numerous children? That was certainly true. Her Majesty the Empress loved arranging marriages, especially for noble ladies. Every man she matched ended up with a harem of wives and concubines. The capital's noble daughters dared not speak their anger. After all, the Empress enjoyed the Emperor's deep affection. He'd even declared to protect her. The Empress is truly the reincarnation of the matchmaker goddess. Every match she grants is of the highest quality. My elder sister was betrothed this way. At a small banquet, the Empress saw her for the first time and was delighted. She mentioned her nephew from her maternal family was still unmarried and promptly betrothed my sister to him. Everyone knew the young master from the Marquis of Grace, the Empress's maternal family, was a profligate, especially fond of tormenting maidservants. My mother gritted her teeth and stepped forward, refusing on the grounds that she was already betrothed. The Empress's face darkened instantly. Has the betrothal gift been exchanged? Seeing my mother hesitate, the Empress flung her handkerchief onto the table with a cold laugh. If no betrothal gift has been exchanged, what sort of betrothal is this? I shall decide. It is cancelled. My own nephew, others would beg to marry him, yet I'd refuse. Truth be told, it's your family climbing the social ladder. Not only that, but on the wedding day, the Empress sent a matron to instruct my sister on how to please her husband and fulfill marital duties. Poor sister, not only did she fail to marry her beloved, but she endured endless humiliation. Within 2 years, she was tormented to death. Now it was my turn. Back home, my mother wept as she tugged at my father's sleeve. Leonor is gone. I cannot lose another daughter. My father paced anxiously. The Empress holds immense power, and the Emperor bows to her every whim. We simply cannot afford to offend her. The Emperor and Empress's deep affection began humbly. Rumor has it that when the Emperor first ascended the throne, he nearly abolished the entire harem for the Empress's sake, only stopping after much persuasion. Even so, among the 3,000 beauties in the palace, none could compare to a single finger of the Empress. The Empress's position seemed unshakable. I believed that too, until that encounter with the sovereign in the temple. I suppose some who dwell too long in lofty heights should taste the sorrows of the mortal world. My hand brushed my abdomen as I offered my parents a reassuring smile. It's nothing. Trust me, I'll never repeat my sister's mistake. Besides, I must avenge her. As night fell, I summoned Linglong and slipped out of the estate. Diyun Temple lay shrouded in darkness. By moonlight, I glimpsed a familiar figure. The man's eyes lit with joy upon seeing me, and he hurried forward. Yao Yao, you've come. I didn't rush to him as I once would. Instead, I took a step back, gazing at him with a haunting expression. Today, Yao Yao has come to bid farewell to young Master Huang. His brows furrowed. What do you mean? You don't wish to see me anymore? Twisting my handkerchief, I shook my head with a bitter smile, my expression sorrowful and forlorn. How could that be? It's just, I'm to be married. His eyes widened in apparent shock. How? I never heard you mention any betrothal. I bit my lip, my voice thick with suppressed sorrow, a faint tremor of tears in it. It's not an engagement. I'm being forced into it. My dear, I'm sorry. I can't marry you. He froze, then gripped my shoulders in fury. Who? Who is forcing you? Who is this man? Tell me. I'll find a way. I shook my head frantically, pretending not to notice the flaw in his words, struggling to break free as tears welled in my eyes. It's useless. His family is powerful and influential. You're just a commoner. You can't fight him. I can't bring trouble upon you. His rage intensified. I refused to believe it. Who dares to forcibly marry a commoner's daughter under the emperor's very nose? Just you wait, I'll investigate this immediately. I lowered my head, hiding the smile in my eyes. He'd never lost his composure like this before. This was the second time he'd slipped and referred to himself as I. It was precisely because I was to be married that he seemed to have truly taken an interest in me. Indeed, for young Master Huang was none other than the current emperor. By chance, I discovered the emperor often slipped out of the palace in plain clothes, visiting Diyun Temple alone to pay respects to his birth mother. Just as my sister faced humiliation at the hands of the Marquis of Qing'an's household, an idea took root in my mind. If I entered the palace and caught the emperor's eye, might I then support my sister, sparing her some of her suffering? Finally, my chance arrived. Whether drunk or drugged, his face flushed crimson as he lifted a pitcher of water to pour over his head. My appearance could not have been more timely. When he awoke, his face was twisted with regret. I was but a frail woman. What could a frail woman do? All this was his fault. I huddled in a corner, my clothes askew, silently weeping. The hairpin in my hand still dripped blood. Only then did he notice the long gash on my wrist. Startled, his expression grew complex, his voice hoarse. I forced you. Why didn't you stab me? Why harm yourself instead? Through blurred tears, I murmured hoarsely, you seemed drugged. I feared you'd die if I left. But as a virtuous woman, having lost my purity, I too must die. With that, I gave a bitter, sorrowful smile and released the long hairpin. I'm utterly useless, I lack even the strength to kill myself. After a long moment, he sighed, drew me into his embrace, and softened his voice. Fear not. I shall not die, nor shall I let you die. Wait a while longer. In time, I will marry you. In his embrace, I finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. His arms tightened around me. Such a kind-hearted woman, one who would rather die than hurt him, had finally touched his heart. We often met at the temple. I watched as he grew more attentive toward me, his smile ever brighter. He never revealed his identity, and I was content to pretend ignorance, treating him as a humble scholar's son. Likewise, I never disclosed my own background, telling him only my maiden name was Yao Yao and pretending to be the daughter of a minor official. He seemed to relish these clandestine meetings, strange, romantic, and thrilling. Until today, when I told him our relationship must end. He couldn't bear it. He had grown too attached to the thrill of our secret affair, never once investigating my background. Now that he wants to, it won't be so simple. Linglong asked me why I didn't reveal my true identity to him. Why not just enter the palace directly? Especially since I'm carrying his child. She doesn't understand, a wife is less desirable than a concubine less desirable than an affair less desirable than something unattainable. Only through loss will he learn to cherish. Besides, I must marry into the Ching'an Marquis's household bearing his dragon seed, letting him taste this excruciating humiliation, a humiliation brought upon him by his beloved Empress. The Empress, the Ching'an Marquis's household, I won't spare a single one. The wedding day arrived in the blink of an eye. To conceal my sister's death, the Ching'an Marquis's household deliberately set the wedding date so close. The night before my departure, my mother stayed with me all night, recounting palace affairs. I heard the emperor has been searching for someone lately, even involving the empress. Their relationship has grown quite strained recently. A faint smile touched my lips. Since that night of farewell, I've remained at home preparing for the wedding, never appearing in public. Naturally, he's grown anxious. I stepped into the bridal sedan chair with composure. Amidst my parents' worries, I touched my belly and smiled happily. One marriage disgusting, two men, how amusing. The wedding wasn't particularly grand, after all, his first wife had just died. I sat on the wedding bed, waiting for the groom who never came. Linglong sighed in relief, yet also felt a pang of sadness. Miss, how could the groom do this? What was there to be sad about? On the day of my elder sister's wedding, hadn't she also spent the night alone in an empty chamber? Well, it was just as I'd expected that he'd discover this child later. It wasn't until the next morning that a drunken Chen Tianyou was finally brought back. After presenting tea and kowtowing, he was to proceed to the palace for the ceremonial greeting. Before departure, the Marquis of Ching'an's wife gave me a meaningful warning: husband and wife are one. Once inside the palace, mind your words lest you offend Her Majesty. I bowed my head in acknowledgement. Only after dismounting the carriage did Chen Tianyou slowly come to his senses. Spotting me, he lunged forward to embrace me. I pushed him away with disgust. We're in the palace. Husband, you do well to restrain yourself. He grinned with reckless abandon. So what? The Empress is my aunt, and the Emperor is my uncle. Who dares touch me? My uncle. I murmured the words, my lips curving into a smile. Uncle, we'll meet again soon. This time when I saw the Empress, her complexion looked somewhat haggard. After we paid our respects together, Chen Tianyou grinned obsequiously. Thank you, Auntie, for arranging such a good match for me. This girl is quite pretty, though her temperament leaves something to be desired. With a little training, she'll do just fine. To my surprise, the Empress's expression darkened. What nonsense are you spouting? Her gaze instinctively shifted to the figure in imperial yellow behind her. I entered to find someone standing in the corner, arms crossed, gazing out the window. Alas, Chen Tianyou, drained by wine and women, was blind to it. The Empress frowned and snapped. Haven't you greeted your uncle yet? Chen Tianyou hastily knelt. Your nephew is unworthy. I failed to notice your Highness's presence. Today, I have found a good match and came specifically to pay my respects to the Emperor. I beg your Highness not to hold this against me. After speaking, he tugged at me. I knelt as well, gazing at that familiar silhouette, and spoke softly. Your Highness, this servant, Wei Mingyao, pays her respects. The figure turned with a start, incredulous. Our eyes locked, and his pupils dilated sharply. Clang! The potted plant on the windowsill crashed to the floor. I heard a soft murmur escape his lips. Yao yao. Then his brow furrowed, shock and anger mingling. You, what did you just call me? Under the Queen's and Chen Tianyou's suspicious, shocked gazes, I calmly kowtowed. Your humble servant dares to address your Majesty as uncle, following my husband's example. I pray your Majesty will not take offense. He seemed unable to accept this, his gaze darting between me and Chen Tianyou as his voice rose. Are you saying you are Tianyou's newlywed wife? I bowed my head slightly, my voice lowered, calm yet tinged with a hint of grievance. Your Majesty, this humble maiden was granted marriage by Her Majesty the Empress to form a union with young Master Chen. Today, I have come to the palace specifically to express my gratitude. At the mention of the Empress, he paused, his expression quickly darkening. I knew, he must have recalled my earlier words, their family's power is immense, you cannot defeat them. His fist clenched, and just as he opened his mouth, the Empress stepped forward to interrupt. Her gaze locked onto mine, sharp and piercing. You know His Majesty? I lowered my eyes, this humble maiden beholds the emperor's countenance for the first time. We have never met. After speaking, I glanced at the emperor and shook my head almost imperceptibly. The empress's gaze then settled on him. After a long moment, he let out a soft chuckle. Indeed, we have not met before. Yet, looking at you, I find you somewhat familiar. Chen Tianyou visibly relaxed, following with an apologetic smile. Your Majesty is unaware that this newly wedded second wife is the younger sister of his late first wife. How could he not find her familiar? The Empress withdrew her piercing gaze and sat back elegantly. Your elder sister had a short life, wasting a good match this palace had arranged. Do not follow her path and break this palace's heart. I nodded in agreement. After leaving the palace hall, I pretended to change clothes but unexpectedly encountered the emperor waiting nearby. His eyes were bloodshot as he gripped my shoulders. Why won't you acknowledge me? Why marry another? I tried to pry his hands away, but in vain. Tears streamed down my face. What choice did I have? I'm already married. The marriage was arranged by the Empress, your beloved, the woman you dismissed all the other consorts to favor. Tell me, what could I do? Defy the imperial decree and refuse the marriage? Or confess our relationship and humiliate her? I wept bitterly, pounding my fists against his chest as I cried out my accusations. A flicker of hesitation crossed his face. After a long moment, he pulled me into his embrace and sighed deeply. You silly thing, you still think so much of others. How can you be so kind? Buried in his embrace, I sobbed. I never imagined my beloved would be the emperor. Had I known sooner? Known what? My voice was muffled. Had I known, I would never have dared to involve myself with you. Everyone knows the emperor and empress share such deep affection. My very existence would surely place the emperor in a difficult position. His fingertips paused, his chin resting near my crown. He said nothing more. A chill settled in my heart. Indeed, the person most important to him was still the empress. If I revealed my identity to him, it would inevitably provoke conflict between the emperor and empress. Even if I entered the palace, he would likely take his anger out on me. For now, retreating was the wisest course. Besides, I still had my trump card. Sobbing uncontrollably in his arms, I suddenly turned my head and began retching painfully. Startled, he hurriedly caught me, patting my back. My face flushed crimson as if I might vomit my guts out. After a long moment, I finally came to my senses, stroking my lower abdomen. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I smiled apologetically. Your Majesty, I'm fine. I'm sorry for worrying you. His gaze fell upon my abdomen, and as if something dawned on him, he abruptly seized my hand, his voice urgent and desperate. Yao Yao, have you conceived my child? The Empress had no children and was notoriously jealous. The emperor indulged her, rendering the entire harem virtually powerless, yet not a single heir had been born. I froze, withdrawing my hand gloomily. Turning my head away, I murmured with sorrowful resentment, Your Majesty. Please pretend you never noticed. His voice grew sharp as he turned my face back, his gaze piercing mine with fury. What do you mean by that? Yao Yao, tell me, if I hadn't discovered this, what did you intend to do with my child? Tears, not yet dried, welled up again, my smile bitterly sorrowful. What could this humble servant do? I cannot protect myself, nor can I protect the emperor's flesh and blood. I dare not displease Her Majesty the Empress, nor dare I tarnish Her Majesty's noble reputation. Yao Yao's lowly life is worthless, death is the only option. But what of the prince growing within this humble servant's womb? The pressure on my jaw intensified. I saw him close his eyes briefly, as if resolving something. Give me time, Yao Yao. I shall devise a way that neither harms you nor grieves the Empress. Wait for me. His brow furrowed slightly as he drew a dragon-patterned jade pendant from his sleeve and offered it to me. Keep this. Should you face true peril, present it. It will protect you and your child. Seeing the words as if I were present engraved upon it, my heart swelled with joy, though my face remained a mask of profound gratitude and deep admiration. This humble maiden awaits Your Majesty. Unless absolutely necessary, I shall never bring it forth. Out of his sight, a faint, cold smile touched my lips. As if that were possible. I would use this child to turn the Marquis of Cheng'en's household upside down. Chen Tianyou hadn't visited my chambers for 2 nights straight. Not that he didn't want to, he was tied up with his concubines in the rear courtyard. Those women in his quarters were always trying to prove their uniqueness, seeking validation from the new bride. On the 3rd night, I brought Ling Long and knocked on the door of Shuaitsui Pavilion. The shattered jade pavilion housed a concubine from a brothel, the very one destined to share a husband with my elder sister. Madam, he greeted me without surprise, her voice laced with flirtatious coquetry. My. The mistress has arrived. I've been so distracted I forgot to offer you tea. Have you come to see the 7th young master? Ling Long stepped forward, placed a soft cushion for me, helped me into a seat, and handed me a cup of hot tea. I took a sip, my smile not reaching my eyes, just a lowly thing, thinking she's something special. Ling Long, slap her face. A sharp slap echoed, alternating with her piercing screams. Ling Long had trained in martial arts, her face instantly swelled like a pig's head. When Chen Tianyou emerged, this was the sight that met his eyes. He'd likely been cavorting with the maidservant, his clothes disheveled, his face flushed. His expression froze upon seeing me, then twisted into a sinister grin. What? My wife dares touch my people so soon after entering the door? Or could it be? His eyes narrowed, his gaze roaming up and down with ill intent. Your sister insisted on playing the chaste maiden, refusing to serve me alongside Xiaohe. Has my wife finally seen reason and come to curry favor with her husband? I raised my wrist, sending a cup of hot tea splashing across his face. His eyes widened, a savage glint igniting in them. He grabbed the vase from the table, ready to smash it down. Too bad it didn't land on my head. I stood up, pushing Ling Long aside as she tried to throw the vase back. I looked at Chen Tianyou, blood streaming down his face as he tried to call for help, a faint smile playing on my lips. My lord is so careless. What if that vase had struck me and caused a miscarriage? He choked, his dark face instantly shifting to disbelief. What nonsense are you spouting? I haven't even touched you. Where did this pregnancy come from? I placed a hand on my belly, replying casually, why be so serious, my lord? It's just a pregnancy, what does it matter whose it is? It echoed the mocking tone he'd used years ago when demanding my sister share his bed. It's just a game, why take it so seriously? Even after my sister died, he showed no remorse. What a nuisance. These noble ladies can't take a joke. What goes around comes around. Now his rage boiled over, his gaze coiling around me like a venomous snake as he spat out the words with venom. You bitch. I'll drown you in the pond. Speak! Who is the bastard father? My eyes crinkled in amusement as I leisurely savored his ugliness. Drown me? That won't do. The emperor would be heartbroken if he found out. His pupils contracted sharply. What do you mean? Are you saying this bastard is the emperor's? How could that be? The emperor cherished my aunt deeply. What are you, some lowly creature? Daring to compete with my aunt for a man? I think you're asking for, his voice cut off abruptly. Eyes wide, he stared fixedly at the dragon-patterned jade pendant swaying in my hand. The 4 characters as if the emperor were present dazzled his eyes. Finally, they dissolved into an incredulous whisper. How could that be? I shrugged indifferently. Why wouldn't it be? His Majesty just needed a place to have me bear his child, since he couldn't explain it to the Empress. You must take good care of the dragon seed growing inside me. If anything were to happen to me, you'd surely incur the Emperor's wrath. After all, I might be carrying his only heir. Chen Tianyou's face darkened and lightened in an instant. His teeth ground together with a sharp creak. He seethed with hatred but dared not touch me. With a thud, Hinyanzi, who had been standing nearby, suddenly collapsed in terror. Her eyes darted between me and Chen Tianyou, unable to utter a word. I glanced at her, but before I could speak, Chen Tianyou acted faster than me. With swift, lethal blows, the charming little concubine soon became a lifeless heap. I remained non-committal. Knowing such dark secrets meant she was destined to be silenced. This Chen Tianyou truly was a ruthless man. Before leaving, I called him back, smiling sweetly. If my lord feels discontent, why not expose the truth? If I could enter the palace as an imperial consort through this dragon seed, I would be eternally grateful. He shot me a fierce glare and stormed out. I knew he was off to verify the dragon seed's authenticity. Linglong frowned. Will the master expose it? I shook my head. If it turned out to be a prince, bearing the Chen surname would be far safer than the Huang lineage. Why would he bring trouble upon the empress? Such a scandalous affair would never reach the emperor's ears. He'd have to investigate and digest it alone. Soon after, news spread that lady he had gone mad, struck the young master with a vase, and was subsequently executed by him. Simultaneously, a maid named Chuyer vanished from the estate. This very maid had been the one in Lady He's chambers with Chen Tianyou. Where could Chuyer have gone? Linglong paced back and forth, unable to fathom it. I gazed at the sliver of sunset beyond the window, remaining silent. Since that incident, Chen Tianyou hadn't returned for days, rumored to be drowning his sorrows nightly in brothels. My mother-in-law had reprimanded me several times, saying a daughter of the Wei household was useless, unable to keep her husband's heart. If I waited any longer, even the emperor might devise a solution. I tugged Linglong's arm and smiled faintly. Come, I'll take you to find Chuyer. Though unloved, I remained the young mistress of this household. The study was heavily guarded, yet no one dared stop me. I felt along the mural and indeed found a peculiar protrusion. Amid Linglong's gasps of surprise, the passageway door slowly swung open. Pitch darkness enveloped us below. As we ventured deeper, a faint glow emerged. Women's screams echoed in waves, mingled with a faint, sickening stench that made me retch. Linglong tensed, shielding me. Miss, what is this place? My smile turned icy. This is Chen Tianyou's dungeon. Half-naked girls, some raving mad, others in a dazed stupor, reached out desperately for help upon seeing us. Linglong gasped. This is all the groom, no, Chen Tianyou's doing? My eyes grew icy as I strode to the dungeon's far end. Unexpectedly, I saw Chuyer's body floating in a pool of blood-tinged water. Her clothes were shredded, her body covered in wounds with scarcely a single intact patch of flesh. A closer look revealed she was missing an arm. Ah! I forced back the nausea, covering Linglong's scream. She clung to my arm, terrified and trembling. How could this happen? Miss, what on earth is going on? My dark eyes grew deep and hollow as my fists clenched, trembling uncontrollably. So sister's hints had been true all along. Chen Tianyou was a sadist. To cover his atrocities, he imprisoned young girls in the dungeon, tortured them to death, then dumped their bodies in the pool, leaving no witnesses. The many missing girls from the capital likely ended up here. My sister didn't take her own life, she was murdered. Because she discovered the dungeon beneath the study, uncovered his secret. So he killed her. Sister had once casually mentioned something about missing girls, murals in the study, and what to do if she ever found her husband hiding secrets. I hadn't taken it seriously. Only after she died by her own hand did I sense something amiss. Through secret investigation, I uncovered the truth behind her hanging. But by then it was too late. The dead cannot be brought back. I must avenge her. As for Chuyer, having heard that sordid affair, she had to be silenced. Before silencing her, I brought her to the dungeon to sate Chen Tianyou's sadistic desires. The grip on my arm tightened. Turning my head, I found Linglong staring at me with worry. I took a deep breath, about to speak. Hurried footsteps grew louder from afar, accompanied by the flickering light of torches. Chen Tianyou's malevolent face came into view, his expression filled with venom. So it seems Wei Minglian, that whore, did tell you something after all. Behind him trailed several menacing guards. Sensing danger, Linglong quickly shielded me behind her. That lady is your newlywed wife. What do you intend to do to her? Newlywed wife? Heh. I thought second Miss Wei was clever, but it seems she's just as foolish. He eyed me like prey caught in a trap. You thought my study was so easy to enter? I was merely waiting for you to walk right into it. Daring to use the dragon seed in your womb to blackmail me? Look at me, do I look like I eat vegetables? You'll stay right here, joining your worthless sister in the afterlife, along with the dragon seed inside you. He grinned savagely as he closed in, while Linglong, held captive, struggled and called out to me in terror. My eyes narrowed slightly as I watched his hand inch toward my face. Just then, a figure burst in at the worst possible moment, a shrill voice cutting through the air. What did you say? What dragon seed? A faint smile touched my lips. Here we go. The show begins. Chen Tianyou's hand trembled, his entire body frozen in shock. "Auntie, why are you here?" The elegant and majestic Empress, for the first time, lost her composure. Her gaze was as sharp as a blade as she pointed at me viciously. "Are you saying this whore is carrying the Emperor's child? That this whore has long been in an illicit affair with His Majesty?" Chen Tianyou hurried to placate her. "Auntie, please don't be angry. How did you find out about this? But it doesn't matter. She's in my hands now and can't cause any trouble. How you wish to deal with her is entirely up to us, isn't it?" I showed no fear. Instead, I smoothed my robes and offered her a gentle smile. "Why are you so angry, Your Highness? Just because you cannot bear children yourself, must you prevent others from doing so? I thought you held the Emperor's exclusive favor, but it seems you are no different. Relying on His Majesty's affection, you arrange marriages for this one and bestow them upon that one. Well, now you've gone and given away His Majesty's own flesh and blood." Seeing her face darken further, I covered my mouth with a handkerchief and taunted her even more. "Your ladyship doesn't know how heartbroken His Majesty will be when he learns his own child must acknowledge a traitor as father. But His Majesty said he must find a way to bring us, mother and child, back to the palace. He values this pregnancy of mine beyond measure." "You wretch!" Her face contorted into a hideous grimace, her eyes bulging with rage. In a furious lunge, she lashed out and struck me hard across the face. I didn't flinch, taking the blow head-on. Turning back, tears streaming down my face, I clutched my belly and pleaded, "Your Highness, strike me in your anger if you must, but please, do not harm the dragon heir within me. You cannot bear children, this may be His Majesty's only offspring. I beg you, do not touch the flesh and blood of the Emperor and myself." Her rage intensified, her face turning pale with fury. She raised her foot and kicked straight at my protruding belly. "Wretch! How could I possibly be unable to bear children? I simply refuse to bear his. What are you, daring to speak so insolently before me?" Ah! A piercing scream erupted. A searing pain shot through my abdomen, and blood slowly trickled down my lower body. My face drained of color. The Emperor arrived just in time to see me like this. "Yao Yao," he rushed over, trembling, his rare panic evident. "Yao Yao, how are you?" "Yao Yao?" Imperial guards swiftly surrounded the entire dungeon, joined on one side by the prefect of Jingzhou. It seemed the secrets of the Marquis of Cheng'en's mansion could no longer be concealed. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Chen Tianyou kneeling on the ground, fearfully kowtowing repeatedly, and the Empress, frozen like a statue. I wanted to laugh, but my stomach ached terribly. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. I reached out, painfully stroking the Emperor's cheek, my smile filled with despair. "I'm sorry, my lord. I couldn't protect our child." After speaking, my head tilted sideways, my arm went limp. Before losing consciousness, I heard a heart-wrenching cry. "Yao Yao, only through loss does one learn to cherish. I suppose I've gained more leverage in his heart." When I awoke, 2 days had passed. The surroundings felt unfamiliar, like I was in the palace. Linglong held me and wept aloud. "You scared me to death. Miss. You're finally awake." Only then did I learn the Emperor had used some means to bring me into the palace, granting me the title of Consort Ming. He hadn't returned from court yet. Linglong, her eyes red, whispered tearfully to me, "Miss, how could you do something so dangerous? Even for revenge, you shouldn't gamble with your own life. 1,000 enemies slain, but 800 of your own lost. That poor little prince is gone now." A faint smile touched my lips. Of course he's gone. Because this child never truly existed. I had never been pregnant at all. From start to finish, it had been nothing but a scheme. A fake pregnancy potion to achieve this outcome, quite a bargain, wouldn't you say? Linglong gaped in shock, her mouth agape. Only after a long moment did she stammer out, "Miss, that was far too risky." What if? There was no what if. It was indeed a gamble. Fortunately, I won. From Linglong's lips, I learned of the Marquis of Cheng'en's downfall. News of the missing girl's discovery at the Cheng'en Marquis's residence spread across the land, igniting public outrage. The Emperor was compelled to impose severe punishment. When the wall falls, everyone pushes. Consequently, the Marquis's past transgressions were exposed one by one. Chen Tianyou was imprisoned, awaiting execution. The marquis's title was revoked. The elderly marquis passed away, and all remaining male descendants were exiled, leaving only the elderly, women, and children behind. Meanwhile, the empress knelt outside the Hall of Morning Sun, begging the emperor for mercy. I had long realized that the so-called deep affection between emperor and empress was nothing but the emperor's one-sided delusion. When he cherished and doted on her, the Marquis of Chengen's household was a garden in full bloom. Once his heart turned cold, the Marquis of Chengen's household became nothing. I still remember our first meeting at Diyun Temple. His heart broken by the empress, he held me close, calling me Zhuer over and over. Chen Fengzhu, that was the empress's maiden name. Only then did I understand how deeply he loved her. But alas, her heart belonged to another. He seized her by force, wanting to cherish her, indulging her time and again. Yet in Chen Fengzhu's eyes, no one could compare to her true love. She did not love him, refused to bear his children, and forbade other consorts from conceiving. She even openly administered abortive potions, justifying it by claiming the emperor owed her. She repeatedly arranged marriages for noble daughters, mostly to dissolute young men. Having failed to marry her true love herself, she sought to make every noble maiden in the capital as unhappy as she was, as if this would bring her some measure of satisfaction. She acted with utter recklessness, relying on the emperor's favor. But she made one fatal mistake: she set her sights on my sister. Her love couldn't possibly be bought with another's life, could it? After court, the emperor came to see me. I rose from the bed, my face pale and brimming with tears. "Your Majesty, I have lost our child." He embraced me tenderly. "Fear not. We shall have more in time." I bit my lower lip, tilting my head to look at him, my eyes filled with apprehension. "Your Majesty, I've heard that causing the Empress Dowager grief requires an explanation from me?" His expression darkened, his voice turning cold. "Do not mention her to me. From now on, you shall be content as my consort Ming. You need not concern yourself with anyone else." Realizing his tone had been harsh, he softened his voice to soothe me. "I only want a child with you. Not with her." I clutched his sleeve tightly and nodded obediently. It seemed the Empress's words, "How could I not bear children? I simply choose not to bear them," with him, had indeed struck a chord with him. When news reached the Emperor that the Empress had fainted at the entrance of the Hall of Morning Sun, the spoon he used to feed me medicine trembled. I urged him to go see her, but he refused with a cold expression. Under the care of the imperial physicians, my health gradually improved. Though it was a false pregnancy potion, it had still taken a toll on my body. I heard the Empress had grown gaunt lately, often blocking the Emperor's path in places he must pass, words on the tip of her tongue, tears spilling before she could speak. She even personally prepared a soup and sent it to the imperial study, insisting she'd only now realized her true feelings, that she truly loved the emperor, and all others were but the past. When Linglong recounted this to me, she was filled with indignation. "After all you've done, miss, surely a few words from her won't make His Majesty change his mind." I idly fiddled with the candle flame. "Who can say? The real danger isn't her making a move, it's her doing nothing at all. Judging by her recent actions, she likely seeks to regain the emperor's favor. Whether it's because of the Marquis of Chengen's affairs or genuine feelings for His Majesty, it no longer matters. Because I will ensure the emperor loses all hope in her." That day, Linglong and I were admiring flowers in the imperial garden when we crossed paths with Her Majesty the Empress in the Jiafeng Hall. Noticing the newly tailored crimson cloak draped over my shoulders, she drew near and murmured with a cold sneer, "Wei Mingyao, this is deliberate, isn't it? Plotting against the Marquis of Chengen, using the imperial heir to seize favor. How ruthless. I bear you no grudge. Why target me? Why?" She dares ask why? After all these rounds of scheming, she still doesn't know who her opponent is? Can't even figure out why I'm targeting her? These high-end mighty people really have thick skins. Lowering my long lashes, I murmured softly, "Your Majesty, the noble lady is so forgetful. With so many arranged marriages, the death of one or two noble daughters is surely nothing to you." Her pupils contracted sharply. "You mean Wei Minglian?" Her voice thickened with venom. She couldn't even keep her own husband's heart. What right did she have to beg this palace for favor? Her death was deserved. And you scheme against me over such a trifle? My expression darkened, my reply laconic, "Your Highness speaks wisely. Since you cannot even hold the Emperor's heart, what face do you have to lecture this servant? The fall of the Marquis of Cheng'en's household is only fitting. Why quibble over such trifles with this humble servant? You," her eyes narrowed in fury, her chest heaving violently. After a long moment, she leaned in again, her smile dripping with malice. "Do you truly believe you'll have the last laugh? Do you really not know who occupies the Emperor's heart? I merely chose not to act. Should I so desire, His Majesty would crawl like a dog, begging for my favor. I wonder if you'll still be laughing then. My affairs need not concern your Majesty." Catching the Emperor's golden-robed figure out of the corner of my eye, I softened my tone, my voice trembling with feigned tenderness. "Sister, please do not be angry. The Emperor's heart is wholly yours. If you find me an eyesore, I shall seclude myself. I beg you not to upset His Majesty. Who dares find my beloved consort an eyesore?" A deep voice echoed immediately, the Emperor in his imperial yellow robes approaching with hands clasped behind his back. Only then did the Empress realize the reason for my sudden change in demeanor. She bit her lower lip, her voice filled with sorrowful lamentation. Her phoenix-like eyes gazed at him with profound depth, as if holding 1,000 unspoken words. The Emperor swept me into his embrace, gazing down at her with utter ruthlessness. "My beloved consort need never yield to anyone. The one who is an eyesore, that would be the Empress." Her body trembled violently, nearly toppling over. 2 clear tears slid down her cheeks. "Your Majesty, have you truly given up on me? Are you unwilling to even glance my way?" The Emperor turned his head away, refusing to look at her. After a long moment, she offered a wretched smile. "If that is so, what meaning is there in my continued existence? I finally discovered my feelings for your Majesty, yet you despise me. Very well, it is my fault. I have wounded your Majesty's heart. Tonight, I shall wait for your Majesty in the Jiaofeng Hall. If you truly loathe me, simply do not come. Then I may rest my heart and end it myself." With that, she curtsied and turned to leave. I looked up to see the Emperor staring at her retreating figure, his expression tightening. Catching my gaze, he snapped back to himself, his embarrassment turning to anger. "What does she take me for? What business is it of mine whether she lives or dies? I won't go to her. Tonight, I'll stay with you. I won't go anywhere." The Emperor did not go. He played chess with me, dined with me, yet still made no move. Only his wandering gaze, drifting away at times, told me he would go. After all, she was once the one held dearest in his heart. His resolve had long since softened, it was merely a matter of saving face. Finally, I sipped my tea and offered him an escape. "Your Majesty, perhaps you should go see the Empress. If something truly happened to her, you might regret it." He closed his eyes briefly, exhaling softly. "Very well, I'll go see her. It would be troublesome if she really were dead." I placed my teacup on the table deliberately, watching his eager figure with a cold smile. Since he was so eager to see the show, I'd grant him his wish. Linglong offered to attend to my rest, but I shook my head. "It's fine. His Majesty will return soon." Sure enough, less than an hour later, the Emperor stormed back in, furious, smashing teacups across the floor. I feigned ignorance, soothing him cautiously. "What troubles your Majesty? Has there been another quarrel with the Empress?" He seethed. "Don't mention that vile woman to me. From now on, there is no Empress. Only Chen of the Cold Palace." I was too frightened to speak, serving him with utmost care. Only the laughter in my eyes betrayed my true feelings. It seemed the deed was done. By the next morning, whispers spread of the Empress angering His Majesty and being banished to the Cold Palace. It turned out the Emperor had rushed to the Jiaofeng Hall last night, expecting his beloved's tender attentions, only to find her in a compromising position with a man dressed like a eunuch. This man was none other than the Empress's former lover. The exact reason no longer mattered. What mattered was that the Emperor's heart had grown cold, and he would never believe her explanations again. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. His disappointment in her had finally reached its limit. When news of the Empress's suicide in the Cold Palace reached me, I felt no surprise. How could an adulterous Empress possibly survive? The emperor couldn't bear it, so I stepped in to help him. After the empress's death, the emperor sank deeper into melancholy, refusing to go anywhere except to my quarters. Soon, it became common knowledge that the days of the empress's exclusive favor were over. The harem now belonged to the 3 Wei sisters. And the 3rd Wei sister was the identity the emperor had arranged for me to enter the palace. I became pregnant, this time truly carrying the emperor's heir. The imperial physician confirmed it was a prince. The emperor rejoiced and elevated me to imperial consort. As my son grew, the harem expanded with new consorts. Some were radiant, others virtuous, they lifted the emperor's spirits, earning his favor. But it didn't matter. I wasn't one to be trifled with. No one emerged unscathed from my grasp. Later, the emperor began reminiscing about old loves, remembering his long-lost first love. The harem filled with many faces resembling hers. It didn't matter much, but the sight sickened me. I sighed, stroking the prince's head. The emperor was growing old, it was time for him to join the late emperor. When the crown prince turned 7, the emperor fell gravely ill. By year's end, he passed away. The young crown prince ascended the throne. I was crowned Empress Dowager, ruling from behind the curtain. A single roll of pearl curtain separated me as I sat behind the emperor. Gazing upon the kneeling ministers below, I began my 8-year regency. The end.